Hello everybody, how are you guys doing? This is Rob of Ro2R Review. Welcome back to the channel. And let's go ahead today and discuss Nintendo's position after E3 2018. So now that E3 for the year has come and gone, we're all left with a lot of questions, we're all left with a lot of excitement, at least some of us. I feel like I'm one of the few people who, after E3 has now concluded, looks at all of the great games that were shown and mostly feels really good and optimistic about everything in gaming. And I know, and I discussed this on my top 10 games of show the other day, I know that there are reasons to be critical about a lot of things happening right now, and even the way some of the press conferences went, and awkward moments and all these different things. But for me, just reiterating that point, I still think that because we've seen so many incredible games, mostly for next year to be fair, but still we've seen so many incredible games across the board that all companies are making for all consoles, I feel really great, and I'm super excited about where gaming is going to be going over the next year or two. But of course, naturally, as a Nintendo fan and a mostly Nintendo YouTube channel, we need to still focus the conversation back to Nintendo and kind of discuss what's going on there and what we can expect, and if the position that we're seeing them in right now is maybe as bad or as dire as some people are treating it. Reiterating what I've said a few times about Nintendo's E3 Direct and their overall presence at the show this year, I think that they were ultimately okay. I think that their E3 Direct was fine. It was definitely not great. It didn't have a lot of surprises. But because I kind of knew to expect that going into it, I wasn't like severely disappointed the way a lot of people are. But just because I wasn't disappointed doesn't mean I don't understand why a lot of Nintendo fans or a lot of other gamers maybe felt like what Nintendo had was pretty lackluster this year. And I mentioned this, I had to go back and rewatch their Direct when I did my editing for my watch-through that I uploaded. And in watching it a second time and seeing how much time they spent on Smash Brothers, I definitely realized, yeah, they did spend way too much time, at least on the unexciting parts of that game. That 15-minute run where they went through every single character and detailed all these tiny little changes to some of their movesets or their looks or their final smashes, like, that information is great, but to do it the way they did it was just ridiculous. And I think that it really hampered their show and kind of lessened the quality impact that a lot of people felt from Nintendo. Now, for a lot of people, for most of us, and this does include me as well, we've maybe noticed that also there doesn't seem to be a whole lot for the Nintendo Switch throughout the rest of the year. Based solely off of E3, which happens in the middle of June, in the first 6 months of the year, it doesn't seem like we have a lot to look forward to for the back half of 2018, which means overall year 2 for the Nintendo Switch seems quite a bit more sparse compared to year 1. And that's really what I wanted to focus on right now, because given the fact that E3 didn't give us a lot to pad out the rest of 2018, a lot of people are starting to see this as potentially a really dire or bad situation for Nintendo, a bad situation for the Switch. Oh my gosh, there's not a lot to play. What happened to all these games? Yoshi's 2019, Fire Emblem got moved to 2019. We know that the real Pokemon game that fans are looking forward to is 2019, which I was theorizing. Metroid Prime 4 so far is a no-show. There is a really good chance, like a 98% chance, that game is also going to be 2019. And so all of these great games that people were looking forward to and expecting, not to mention no surprise games like an Animal Crossing or a Pikmin or what have you, all of a sudden, this year doesn't look great. Is year 2 for the Switch going to be the year that kills the Switch, that stops its incredibly successful momentum dead in its tracks, and suddenly the little system that could is no longer going to be able to do it? So what I wanted to talk to you guys about is this idea and whether or not a slow year 2 is going to kill the Switch. And clearly, my personal opinion and position is no, absolutely not. Right now, 2018 does seem a lot more sparse than 2017, as I already said. I absolutely get that. But I think that with people's like instant knee-jerk reactions from kind of an underwhelming E3 is really leading them into like the suicidal negative territory a little bit too soon. Granted, we're like a day removed from the final day of E3. So obviously over the next couple days and weeks, people will probably chill out and start to realize that things are probably going to turn out to be okay. Not to mention the ultimate X factor here, which I and many people have brought up. Nintendo gives us Nintendo Directs. We had Panic Button confirming that they're going to reveal their new port next month, which will probably happen in a Nintendo Direct after their Wolfenstein port releases. Like, there's going to be a lot more to learn from Nintendo, even for 2018 games, and people, I think, have to stop and remember that. And like, I understand that in the moment, in the here and now, where E3 is like the current relevant thing, it's like, oh my gosh, we were left with nothing. Nintendo had nothing to surprise us for the rest of the year. Even Super Smash Bros. Comes out in the last month of the year. Like 3 weeks before New Year's is when Smash Bros. Comes out. Like, they're barely eking that thing into 2018. And like, I'm fine with it, but it is kind of a little lame that's when that game is coming out. But sometimes it's like, hey, you know, when a game is ready is when Nintendo is going to put it out. They're not going to put it out earlier. So if the game isn't coming out in November or October or whatever, then that means that the game wouldn't be ready by that time. Nintendo knows why they want Smash Bros. To be December. So for whatever the reason, that's when we're getting it. I think part of the problem too is when people see a slow 2018 and a slow year 2 for the Switch. I think that what happened is a lot of people, a lot of gamers, maybe got a little bit spoiled by 2017, because 2017, especially for a console launch year, was insane with quality games. First-party Nintendo games and franchises. It was ridiculous. I don't need to name them all. We all know how great that year was, and we all have all of those games, and we know how good they are. And then even by the end of the year, people should remember this for this year too, by the end of the year, we did get some great third-party content showing up. I mean, by E3 last year, there was a lot of great games that we didn't even still know were going to be coming to the Switch, that by the time October and November rolled around, suddenly we're playing games like Resident Evil and Doom and LA Noire and Rocket League and all of this stuff. Well, Rocket League was shown at E3, but still. So that even further goes to show that this year could very likely play out the same. In fact, I'll put money on it, it's going to play out the same. We might not get some of the biggest and greatest games we want this year, but still, Nintendo's going to surprise us with some more stuff. Probably a lot of those will be third-party ports, like Panic Button's game. But seriously, guys, I think that we can calm down on 2018 for now until we see how it all plays out. I won't deny that it is a barren-looking year, and I was hoping and expecting for, at the very least, Yoshi and Fire Emblem to play this year. I mean, I am also shocked and incredibly disappointed that those games got pushed to 2019, especially considering Metroid Prime 4 will also likely be 2019. It's like, wow, like, I really thought at least those two games were going to pad out the year, and Nintendo was going to come solid with a Smash Brothers, a Yoshi, and a Fire Emblem for the back half of 2018. I mean, that would have been really great and really, really strong for them. But that's not what they're doing. However, 2017, like I was saying, I really think kind of spoiled a lot of people. And what I think Nintendo was willing to do, and overall, I actually agree with this tactic if this was what they were doing. I think this was a smart move. But what it seems like they were doing was they were like, we're going to launch our brand new console. Our last system, the Wii U, was a huge failure. We lost a lot of money in the home console space. Obviously, the 3DS kept us going, but the Wii U didn't do so hot. We need to make sure that our next thing is a big hit and brings us back into the focus the way we were during the Wii days. We need to recapture that success. And in order to do that, first, you have to make a quality machine, which they did with the Switch. Second, a non-stop barrage of incredible experiences. And thankfully, Nintendo's experiences are always going to be exclusive experiences. So I think Nintendo was totally willing to front load the Nintendo Switch's launch year with all of these great games. Here's your Zelda, here's your Mario, here's your new IP, here's your Xenoblade, yada, yada, yada. And then understand that, you know, we're probably going to be sacrificing a really strong second year. We might have to start off really strong and then kind of plateau or maybe even dip down for year 2, and it's probably going to be worth it. If they can just shoot up in year 1, come down a little for year 2, and just kind of coast through year 2, and then shoot back up in year 3, which is probably going to happen, I think that's a smart tactic overall. I mean, year 3 right now apparently has a brand new Pokemon, a brand new Metroid, a brand new Fire Emblem, and a brand new Yoshi game, and I feel like there's even 1 or 2 other huge ones that I'm not even thinking about. Maybe that's when we do finally get Animal Crossing, and people lose their minds for that. I mean, right now, oh, Bayonetta 3, I mean, that game still might be a 2018 game, and if so, then that's going to be great for this year. But also, if Bayonetta 3 is a 2019 game, there's another huge exclusive game to add onto the Switch's year for year 3. And I really just think that ultimately, this is why I'm okay with a slow year 2 for the Switch. I'm disappointed because I didn't want year 2 to turn out to be a slower year. I was hoping Nintendo was just going to keep this game train rolling, man, and just boom, 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 boom. Here's a new game every month. Oh my gosh. Okay, the first half of 2018 was slow, but trust me, once E3 comes around, we're going to give you a huge game every month for the rest of the year. I wanted that, and I kind of expected that, and so I am sad and underwhelmed that that's not the case, but I'm okay with this because I think Nintendo is planning the most insane rebound in year 3 we've almost ever seen. I mean, they had the most insane rebound already with the Switch's launch year, with a Breath of the Wild and a Mario Odyssey and all that. So they coast through year 2, and then they just rebound again in year 3. Think about it, you guys. We're going to be losing our minds for Bayonetta, Metroid, Pokemon, Fire Emblem, Yoshi next year. Plus, more surprises. Plus, I think year 3 will truly be the year of third parties for the Switch as well. I do expect some third-party surprises before the end of 2018 as well. Like I was saying, Nintendo Directs are going to give us those. But I also think year 3 might be the year that third parties really show up in force. And suddenly, we're finally in this golden age situation for Nintendo again, where they have unbelievable non-stop first-party content and hopefully unbelievable non-stop third-party content. That's probably, hopefully, mostly on par with what the competing consoles are getting. It's probably never going to be quite to that level. We're never going to necessarily get the PS4 and Xbox quality third-party content. But if we can get like 75 or 80% there in year 3 and beyond, I think that's going to be pretty good, and most people are going to be very happy with that, and that just means that Nintendo's success and the quality sales for the Switch are going to continue. As far as the rest of 2018 goes, I made a short list of some of the games I know I'm going to be picking up on my Switch by the end of the year, and keep in mind, this is after E3 and before any other Nintendo Directs. We're probably going to get at least 3 more Nintendo Directs, maybe 2 or 3 more Nintendo Directs in 2018. Could even be more, who even knows, but I'm going to guess around 3. But before any of those even happen, I for sure am going to be picking up the Dark Souls remaster on my Switch. I'm going to be picking up Mario Tennis. I'm going to be picking up Octopath Traveler. I'm going to be picking up Starlink. I'm maybe going to get Mario Party. I think I've convinced myself that it'll be worth it to pick up Mario Party. My girlfriend and my buddies will come over and have some drinks and play that game in person. I don't need online play for that. It actually looks pretty good, so I think I might get that. Wolfenstein 2 I'm going to pick up. I actually expect to get that for review, but whether I get it for review or I purchase it, I'll be getting Wolfenstein. And then, oh yeah, a little game called Super Smash Bros. All of those games, that is 7 games I just listed, those are 2018 titles that I'll be picking up on my Nintendo Switch, which includes first and third-party games, and one of those third-party games is even exclusive to the Switch. So, you know, and there's probably a couple of others I haven't thought of. Obviously, indie games. I mean, heck, we don't know what's happening with No More Heroes, so I'm hoping that game sticks to 2018, and you can throw that one on this list as well. So, it's like, yes, the year is slow, but also it's not totally barren. I just gave you a couple of great-looking games. First-party, third-party, exclusive, everything. So, that's my perspective. Y'all know me, man. I'm an optimist. This is just how I feel about stuff. And maybe it helps because, A, I'm really busy, so I don't always have free time to be playing games. And so I don't necessarily suffer when there aren't a lot of new games to play. So that's maybe something I have that other people don't. Busy with work, busy with my girlfriend, busy with my band. But also, I own all 3 consoles, so when one console is lacking of quality games, I have 3 consoles to pick from that I'm going to be picking up new games or playing new stuff on. I mean, Fallout's going to come out this year, and that will take up so much of my time that, for me, in my gaming life, I don't mind having a small break of not a lot to play on the Nintendo Switch, because I'll have Fallout to play or whatever else I decide to pick up. So, either way, this is my perspective and opinion, and I'm hoping that this helped a lot of you guys who are really down about Nintendo and the lack of games for 2018, and all of a sudden year 2 for the Switch is so bad. The Switch is done! Nintendo's done! They're gonna close up shop! It's all game over because there's nothing to play in year 2. I mean, clearly, it's not that bad, it's not that severe, you guys, so, you know, everyone's opinion can be their own, and if you're really down or upset about the lack of games this year, that's fine. I get it. Everyone's entitled to that. And like I've said, it's not like there isn't a slowness happening this year. But overall, I think it's going to be fine. And when we get a couple more directs, and when 2018 rolls around and we have all those incredible games to play that I've already mentioned, I think we're all going to be pretty happy with our Switch and realize that we all probably freaked out for nothing when it came to E3 this year. So those are my thoughts and opinions. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Do you agree with my optimism? Do you think that I'm crazy and year 2 is shit for the Switch and everyone should be really sad and start selling their Switches because Nintendo's going to close up shop? Oh my god, their stock went down. It's game over for Nintendo. If that's how you feel, share it below, man. All opinions are welcome here as always, and that is going to be it for me. Thanks, of course, as always for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Ro2R Review, and I'll catch you next time on another video.